Hey Jay, you know we're doing that Exclaim Instagram takeover business?
Okay.
I'm just going through some old magazines and I can't seem to find the Exclaim with Sloan on the cover.
Chris.
I can't even picture it. What, was it early?
Chris.
Was it even 90s? Was it in the past 10 years?
Chris, we were never on the cover of Exclaim.
Surely there was a time in the past 30 years when we could have been considered credible enough to be on the cover of Exclaim. Was there always a cooler, more credible Canadian band releasing something every time we went to release an album that prevented us from getting a cover? Chris, this is Exclaim. We considered Sloan a boy band with your faces on the cover of your records. We preferred bands with a blurry photo of a sprinkler or some stupid shit. Why couldn't we have been on the cover for our first record, Smeared? No way. We had no time for your Geffen Cinderella story. We needed to make room for cargo recording artists, shadowy men on a shadowy planet, and Change of Heart. What about our beloved Twice Removed? It was a huge commercial flop. There's your cred. For music, I suppose, but you've got a point. But we had to dedicate ourselves to the timeless tunes of Tristan Psionic and 13 Engines. What about One Chord to Another, the album that came on the heels of Chart magazine calling Twice Removed the greatest Canadian album of all time? Well, that pretty much assured you were never going to get on the cover of Exclaim. But you can't argue with us covering the Inbreds or Eric's Trip. I get it, those bands are great. What about our Navy Blues album? We recorded it at Chemical Sound in Toronto, and we were trying to make a go of having this be on Murder Records in the U.S. and still trying to promote our friends' bands. We did our part by putting Super Friends and Thrush Hermit on the cover that year. Quit your belly aching. Well, we appreciate you putting Murder Records bands on the cover, but what about when Sloan released Between the Bridges? We recorded it in Toronto again, and we were all living in Toronto, trying to be part of the scene. Yeah, but that was the year of By Divine Right and the Deers. Was it? Well, what about Pretty Together then? Like, I was playing on a hockey team in the Exclaim Cup, for Pete's sake, with the editor and publisher of Exclaim, but still no cover? Well, Sloan never had the melodic sense of new pornographers or the lyrical weight of the weaker thens. I disagree. Listen, I'm embarrassed to ask about Action Pact. If memory serves, it was essentially panned in Exclaim by another guy on our hockey team. It was out of step with the Constantines or Stars. Yeah, whatever that means. Our next record, Never Hear the End of It, was a double LP with 30 songs on it. 8 albums in, the same 4 guys creating a masterpiece. That's got to be good for a cover story. Dude, Metric and Broken Social Scene. These bands were legitimately huge. I think we were feeling pretty dejected when we released our Parallel Play record. Our double album hadn't been recognized as a masterpiece, and we were feeling like we were being taken for granted, I guess. That and Arcade Fire arrived on the scene. Arcade Fire! You think you can hang with Arcade Fire? Not to mention Wolf Parade. You can't. Sloan and Exclaim were both celebrating our 20th anniversaries when we put out the Double Cross. Double Cross, 2 X's, like 20 in Roman numerals, you get it? That was a pretty good record. But new bands kept coming. Enter Tokyo Police Club and Fucked Up. Oh, we did another double record, Commonwealth, where each guy in the band wrote a side of the record, like the Kiss solo albums, but more like EPs and not sold separately, which was their tragic error. Yeah, but Alexis on Fire was huge. And Mets. Sorry, bud. Our next album was called 12. Good songs on it. Didn't really have a hook for that album. No sweat. We had Always and Pop. What else you got? Our latest album's called Steady. You'll like it. We don't want to be on your dumb cover anyway. You clearly have to leave room for little groups like the Arkells. Hardy Har. And Billy Talent. Yeah, I love those guys. Well, it's been fun fantasizing about what an Exclaim cover for every Sloan album would look like. And we're both still here, so I guess it didn't hurt either of us that it didn't happen. No, I'm sorry. It was a major oversight on our part, and your band has been a great example of how to balance credibility and making a living. You've always lent a hand to young bands, and you have an enormous body of work with incredible variety, and your band is intact for almost 31 years, which is a testament to the democratic experiment. Hey, your words, not mine.
Chris!